Hi, today what we're doing is a product review. Now it's been a while since I've done a product review for you guys, so just kind of bear with me while I do this. I'd do more product reviews if I could. Unfortunately, a lot of companies, they just don't want to participate in YouTube videos. So, this is the ISIS O2 housing provided by Craig at Envision. So a lot of you guys know Envision, a lot of you guys know Craig. He was kind enough to take my board Facebook post completely seriously, and was super kind enough to ship this up to me. So thank you, Craig, and for like the whole community, I guess, can thank you, because everybody can learn from this experience. This box that they ship up, it was in another box, so we're completely surrounded by like packing foam and stuff like that. So this is not how it arrives at your door. I was actually really impressed with the packaging. So, I've got no complaints. Packaging, 10 out of 10. Excellent. Inside the box, you get this bag, and inside this part of this bag, there's 2 gaskets, and then you got some nuts and bolts. And then in this little sock is your O2 pipe, but I already removed that. So here's the O2 pipe. These gaskets, this is a 2-bolt for your down pipe to O2 pipe, so going away from the turbo. And this is a 3-bolt gasket that goes from your turbo to your O2 housing. So they just provide replacement gaskets, and I mean, this is, if you think about it, this is like $7 factored into the cost of your pipe. So when you're trying to do the math of what's the value, take that into consideration. Another thing to take into consideration is they supply you with some zinc-plated grade 8 hardware. So a lot of people, when they're taking their turbo studs off for the first time, they have a tendency to break them because either A, they're crappy Hyundai studs, or B, they are not quite doing it right. So they do provide you hardware, so you don't have to go looking for it. So A+, factor that into the cost as well. I don't know exactly how much this cost, but for this hardware, you're probably looking at, I don't know, $5 or $6 at least. By the way, I won't be using those. I have different stuff that I'm going to be using. So they provided you this pipe as well. It is fabricated out of 6 different components. It's TIG welded. I'm not sure if it's machine or if it's hand, but either way, the TIG welding is really nice. It's not flawless, but it is really nice. I'd rate it 9 out of 10 for the welding. They have the bottom flange here. They have the top flange here, your 3-bolt flange. They have the pipe in 2 components, which is the upper section of the pipe and the lower section of the pipe, and then you have 2 O2 bosses here at the top. They also include this little branding plate, so if you're taking pictures from underneath your car, you can see it. A lot of exhaust companies put their branding plates on, so it's just kind of a nice little touch from them. How long it lasts, I don't know, because this pipe is going to get pretty damn hot, and it's only spot welded in 4 places, so we'll find out over the long term. The welding may look thin, but it's something called a deep set weld. People who are familiar with welding will either know what that is, or they will know it by another term. Different welding people call things different things. So I'll cover what it is, and then you guys will all be on the same page. A deep set weld is when the weld goes completely through the metal. Now this is actually fairly difficult on TIG. Actually, TIG is probably easier to do it on than, say, MIG, which is like a wire feed welder. But what happens is they go, when they're doing the bead along the edge, it goes all the way through. So it is a complete, uniform, bringing the materials into one piece. Okay, that is probably one of the strongest types of welding you can do, versus like this badge, which is just spot welded on. It's not deep set weld. These are not actually very strong welds, but they're not integral to the strength of the product, so they don't need to be, right? All they have to do is hold this like 1/8 of an ounce badge on the pipe, versus this, which is going to take the strain of your whole exhaust system. They do not include the mounting bracket, which mounts the O2 housing to the transmission assembly. That is what Hyundai does in order to cover the weight of the cast iron or cast steel primary catalyst, which is like, I don't know, 30 pounds. This is maybe 5. So is it necessary? Probably not. Should it be there? Doesn't hurt. But I'm not worried about it at all. So what they do is, because as I said there's deep set welding, the bead would typically protrude into the pipe. Okay, what they've done is they've taken a electric grinder or sander or whatever, and they've smoothed that out. And it's not flawless. You can still see where the bead was, and in some places you can kind of feel it, but it is significantly removed, which, you know, doesn't cost you flow. They also did the same thing to the O2 bosses. They are deep set welded as well, which is, you know, a good thing. And they did the exact same process to here. So you do have a rather narrow bead. It's not that wide, but it is deep. They basically fused all of these components together to act as one. So no complaints. The piping itself, I don't know the exact thickness of it, but I would say it is probably 2.5, 3 millimeters thick. It is a really nice piece. What they've also done is these pipes would naturally protrude a bit, or they'd be recessed a bit. ISIS went ahead and they allowed it to protrude, which allows you to have the best kind of lip, right? The downside is the protrusion will stick out. Well, ISIS shaved that off, so it's not there anymore. It is basically perfectly flat. Actually, it is pretty much basically perfectly flat. So very, very nice touch for them to do that. They don't do anything to the welds. I don't even think they smooth them out. There's still the oxidization from the welding process, and that's the temperature at which it was welded at. And that, based on the golden hue of it, there's a little bit of bluing, so it's in the 600 range, so I don't know what that would be in amperage. I guess it would depend on your welder particularly, but it's, you know, they succeeded. So welds, I would give the welds a 9 out of 10. Construction, I would give 9.5 out of 10, just because of how they put the whole piece together. Features, I would rate it as probably a 7 out of 10. I am not a huge fan of the inline O2 bosses. I'm pretty sure I know why they did that, which was to reduce turbulence. But at the same token, it's not the most efficient way of doing it. I also don't like the fact that there's only 2 bosses there and there's not 3. When you're deleting your primary catalyst, you don't need the second O2 sensor anymore, because its only purpose in the whole scheme of the car's programming is an emissions check system. Okay, that's all it does. Doesn't affect performance in the least. So they're going in their heads, well, just delete it. Just, you know, if you have to pretty much get a tune if you do one of these pipes, which is a stage 2 tune for anybody curious. Varies depending on your vendor, but pretty much it's the stage 2 tune for a deleted primary O2. And at the same time, you'll just have the check engine digit removed. Now, that being said, they've got lots of pipe there, lots of pipe surface. So to have one welded on after the fact, like take it to your local welder, make sure that it's going to clear wherever it's going to go, and have it welded on, not a big deal. It really isn't. But I would have liked to see it, you know, right out of the box. Is ISIS ever going to change it? Probably not, because most manufacturers don't give a shit what I think. But just so you guys know, there's only 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be deleting my second O2 sensor. I used to use it not for efficiency, but actually as an EGT for post-catalyst fuel trimming. But I don't really need it anymore. There's no catalyst, so I'll be just unplugging it. They do, oddly enough, of all the things that they do, with each boss they provide a boss plug. which is very curious to me, because hopefully you have O2 sensors in there. I'm assuming they give them to you just because they come with the Boss, which is nice. You know, you basically paid for it, and they're just going to end up with a bin full of these things, right? But it's also, you can, if your O2 sensor dies, you can still limp it home, right? Most cars, when the primary O2 sensor dies, which is the one that actually changes your tune, or changes your fuel mapping, most of them have a limp home kind of situation. At least the Genesis Coupe does. I know I've done it. I've unplugged my primary, or I've driven with my primary unplugged, which was a complete accident, but it just overfuels and you go through a shit ton of fuel. I would have liked to have seen, because as you can see they're lined up, I would have liked to see them kind of offset. You know, it fits underneath the hood, no problem if they were offset. I do think I understand why they did this, but it's not what I would have done personally. But I guess I can't really fault them because they're not me. So that's one thing I would change, is just I would offset these just a bit, so you know you're getting a nice swoopy flow through there. You're not creating a turbulent spot, but you're also allowing kind of equal feed to it, right? Or to your rear sensor. And this is where my wideband O2 sensor is just going to plug in. So, yeah, it is, overall, I like it. I think it's really strong. I think it's, you know, a good beefy product. I'm just going to clean my grubby little fingerprints off of it before it gets installed. This will be installed with a bunch of other components that are being provided by a bunch of different other people. I won't get into those right now, but definitely check back on the channel, or if you're subscribed, you guys will get an update when the new video is out, or you guys will find it on Facebook, because whenever I post a video I spam the hell out of you guys. So there you go. ISIS O2 housing provided by Envision. So thanks again to Craig for providing this part for us to view, and you know, I think it's a solid option in the community. Price-wise, it's kind of right in the middle. There are ones more expensive, and there are ones cheaper. I think the ISIS O2 is kind of right there in the middle, and bang for the buck, I think it compares to the heavier priced ones quite readily. You are missing a couple of little things, like your third O2 pipe, O2 bung, and the transmission mounting bracket. But that being said, you don't have to worry about the bracket breaking. You can easily install another one, and for how much it would cost to have another Boss installed, you're now in the price range of the higher ones. Actually, depending on, you know, if you're Canadian, it could still be cheaper, because we pay American dollars for all this stuff, so we kind of get screwed. Keep in mind though, this is stainless steel, so whatever Boss you go with, make sure it is a stainless steel one, and you can usually pick them up off of eBay for about 13 bucks, or you can pick them up from your local auto supplier, and they're usually kind of in the same price range. So that's basically the product. I think $4 for value, Snoopy approves. It's a good hard-hitting unit in the community, and I think it and some of its other components are probably definitely worth checking out in the future. And if you guys are shopping for O2 housing for a 2010 to 2012 Genesis Coupe, this is definitely it. I do have to mention though, this does not fit on 2013s unless you turbo swap, and if you're turbo swapping, you're probably going to a different flange anyways. But does not fit 2013 plus Genesis Coupes. I do believe ISIS does make a 2013, and from the design of it, I would say that is probably one of the best ones on the market to look at. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys found the video useful towards future purchases, and hopefully we will have more product reviews coming up in the future. There are definitely some, so yeah. So subscribe to the channel. The thingy is in the whatever below. There's a link to this product and many, many more products in the description to Envision's website, and definitely check them out, or hit up Craig on Facebook. So we will see you guys next time in the next video, and maybe we'll talk about some more stuff. So see you guys next time.